Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations, and welcome to my live stream. It is a very, very muggy, sticky, hot day here in Sydney. It's only 29 degrees Celsius, but it is just so bloody humid. I've got the air conditioner going here, and it barely feels like it's doing a thing. But anyhow, that's something else. So I will do my normal thing, and I will say hello to people in the chat here. So I'll scroll up, say hello Foxhound477, hello to Will, KMac Vintage, hello Gibatronics, hello One Bit Fever Dreams, hello to Dana, or as I always say to Dana, hello. All Things DG, Mark Anning, 64-bit guy, Colin from This Does Not Compute, Inkscube, hello there, Point 5, Roger Salter, working our way down, Jack 68K.5, Buried Bits, Patrick Pitts, Ryan Joffrey, Leon Adate. He's only told me how to say it about 15 friggin' times. You'd think I'd get it eventually, wouldn't you? Leon Adate? Could be. Okay, so I didn't live stream last week. I was still in a state of recovery 2 weeks ago. Just under 2 weeks ago, I had a surgical procedure, and I have been recovering. I am still recovering, but I'm feeling a hell of a lot better. I will probably have to keep this live stream to around about 2 hours because I don't want to overdo it. So, you know, Kai is here. Hello there, Kai. Just call me Leo, that'll do. I might even remember that one, who knows. Quicksilver Oz, hello there. Okay, so Leo has said, you wouldn't believe the month I've had. Quite bizarre. I'm working on getting some projects done. I might try recapping the main board on this Sega Game Gear I have. Yeah, I mean, look, it's... sort of recapping is a funny thing. I feel like sometimes recapping is just like, let's hope it fixes it. But we have to accept that so many old things do need their capacitors replaced. I did a recapping on a Nintendo 64, two of them actually. I was going to do a video on it, but I don't know, I think I got an attack of the lazies. I took a lot of photo of the procedure, and I was even going to potentially put it up on my website, but I don't think I have. So yeah, I did. I think it was a Nintendo 64. I'm pretty sure that was what it was. I'm not a game person. I don't really use game controllers at all. I think I would be happy. I think I would enjoy playing games, but I just worry about the time it gobbles up. That's the main thing. I've just always got so much stuff to do. Mr. Tech Gadget, hello. Max Button, hello. So just looking up there. I think I got everyone. So anyhow, what do I want to talk about? So a couple of things. A little while ago, I got a little care package from... let's hope it's down here and I didn't take it upstairs or something like that. I got a little care package from Will at KMac, and in that care package was a... it's here somewhere. It's either here or it's up in the house. I can't remember. I think it might be up in the house, actually. I think I remember seeing it. It's a little replacement board for the S2SI power supply. Now, I have since received this. This is the 12-volt power supply to put inside it. And this is the Pico ATX. And, of course, these are just such a wonderful little thing. They just simplify things so much, because this will give you your, what is it, your plus 12, your minus 12, your plus 5, your minus 5, I think it gives you all of those, all your things, on that, with just plugging it into a 12-volt power supply. So all you need is a 12-volt power. And let's face it, how many DC 12-volt power supplies are there? I mean, here's one. I've got a couple floating around here. I bought a bunch of them once when they were super cheap. And, you know, they just come in handy, and then you just connect one of these to it and you're away. You're in business. So they're absolutely fantastic. So that will be something that I'm building. I haven't figured out if I'm going to do that as a self-contained video or not, or whether I'll do it in a live stream. The only thing that would stop me from doing it in a self-contained video is that my good friend Colin from This Does Not Compute has actually already done that in his video, where he did a whole bunch of sort of resto work on a 2SI, which is a great video, by the way. So if you haven't seen it, do check it out. Let's have a look here. Found 3 13-inch MacBook Pros, A1278s. Out of 3, one is booting into internet recovery at least. They're very repairable, those things. They were my staple for a while there. I've got one right here. open them up and repair them, and then potentially resell them. These days they're not worth that much to resell, but those, MacBook Pros, very, very easy to work on. You take the bottom case off and everything is accessible. I mean, Apple could learn a thing or two about building computers by looking at how they used to build computers. The battery just comes out the bottom, you've got the hard drive in the corner, then you've got the logic board there, you've got the CD there, and they're just as far as I'm concerned, a pleasure to work on once you get it figured out how to open them up. Two of them, they're a bit battered and bruised. The screens work, but yeah, one is okay, cool. Core i5, yeah. Okay. It's sitting. I have a 2SI. Barry Bitzer said I have a 2SI. It's sitting under my 2X, which is under a 20SC. That's some stress. That's some stress you've got that 2SI under. So just to do a quick little recap, I did mention this on, I think I probably mentioned it on my live stream, but I certainly also did a post about this on my Facebook page. That's kind of the only place I'm really active on social media. I do have a Twitter account. I think I do have an Instagram account, but I just generally don't use them. I generally do stuff on Facebook. I know that Facebook is a bit of a cesspool for a lot of people, but I have kind of formed Facebook into something that works really well for me. I have just basically joined enthusiast groups, and when I sit there in front of Facebook, all I see are stuff written by enthusiasts about whether it be 3D printing, vintage computers, computer repair, you name it, whatever I'm interested in, I join the groups, and then that's just all my Facebook feed is filled with. If I see some sort of horrible sort of septic message by someone, I just unfollow or delete them or something like that, and I just have it so that Facebook for me is actually a nice place to hang out. So I had to break my Mac streak. Since '87 I've used Macs and never owned a PC, but I'm building one. Bad, wicked Windows gaming beast. Apple has to stop making these closed boxes. Yeah, and look, seriously, I would not blame anyone. If you're a gamer, I have no criticisms for someone going down the Windows path. You can go and, maybe you could probably look at the Linux side if it's Steam games you're after, because obviously Steam works on Linux. So that can be one way of going if you just want to stay away from Microsoft. But when it comes to building these custom machines, with the water cooling and the fast RAM and the super powerful GPUs and stuff like that, absolutely, yeah, that's something you go down the path with on Windows for. That's fine. As I say, it's not my thing, so I've never really needed to investigate that. I am using my backup battery thing backup wireless thing here for my talking, so it may run out of battery part way through. If it does, just do the normal thing of saying, hey, there's no sound. I forgot to charge the other one after my last live stream, so I feel pretty stupid, but this one doesn't last as long because it's got it's got a pillow battery, which I need to open up and order a new one and replace it. It's an easy enough job to do. It looks like what we here in Australia call a pillow biscuit. I'm not sure what I'm sure you guys that have the same thing, you'd call it something else, but you guys wouldn't call it a biscuit, you'd call it a cookie, I would imagine. And so, yeah, I think technically they're called like a spicy fruit roll or something like that. I think that's what they actually, they're made by Arnott's, that's what they technically call them here, but it's basically like a biscuit or cookie shaped like a pillow full of like spicy fruity stuff, like the sort of stuff you get in a fruit mince pie. But anyhow, I'm sure you guys have them in the States, but you probably don't call them pillow biscuits. Okay. Oh, I have to use Windows every now and again. Thankfully I don't anymore, because Microsoft have released a database browser thingy, or database client that works with Mac, that works with SQL, because I've got a client that uses SQL, and so I need to I need a client into their database, and I was using SQL toolkit or some crap, I can't remember what it's called, some Windows piece of shit, and they don't make it for Mac, but they recently brought out an Azure version. But the Azure version does SQL as well. And when they brought that out, I can use that on Mac and I don't need to go into Windows anymore. But, the thing I miss the most on Windows, out of everything that the Mac has to offer, is quick look. Just selecting a file, pressing the space bar, and it opening up, which of course you can use for JPEGs, you can use for all image file formats, you can use for PDFs, you can use for STL files for 3D. You know, it's to me that is just one of the best features out there. Long live Windows ME, goodness me. Try the programmer yet? No, I have not. It is sitting on my desk. Everything has been pushed back. Everything in my life has been pushed back because of being off work. You know, I then came back to work, and of course I just had to. I've really only been able to work probably a half day lately. I mean, I'm getting more, but I tire really quickly and stuff like that. So I haven't, you know, so I haven't really had a whole lot in the way of recreation time lately because it's mainly just been like recovery time. Mike is here. Hello there, Mike. Okay, just checking, just seeing that this. I see this conversation going on between people, which is great, but I just checking to make sure I'm not missing anything. Now, I ordered some capacitors, which I got from DigiKey. Some of these are ones for that power book that I was working on in my last live stream. So when I did that last live stream, I realized that I was missing a couple of capacitors. So I have ordered all of those ones that I was missing, and I have also ordered the ones for the screen. So if someone gives me a power book in the future, I will have the right ones for the screen. As it turns out, I used a slightly different size capacitor, which good friend Tech Knight said is no problem. And if he says it's no problem, and he says he has done it like that before, I'm going to listen to him because he's a smart cookie. Right, now, I need to make a little bit of room here because the board that I'm going to be working on today is freaking huge. Yeah, go get your laptop. Crazy Windows. Now, Mac 2. Here it is. Mac 2X, I should say. So, as I posted on a little Facebook post recently, I got this from. Let's put the top view here just so we can see. Top view. It's a little bit. Let's zoom out some. That'll do for the moment. We'll fiddle around. So, I like the Mac 2 series. Always have, and it has a lot of nostalgia for me. The Mac 2 series, and my very first Mac that I bought with my own money. I think I got given a Mac before this, but the first one I actually went out and bought with my own money was a Mac 2. And then later on I got that one upgraded to the high density floppy drive upgrade. And that, so I love the old Mac 2. But I also worked with Mac 2CI, 2CX, 2FX professionally. That was in my job, my day-to-day job. So I definitely have an affinity for these machines. I really do like them very much. And I have had I have had a Macintosh 2, a 2CX, 2CI, 2VI, 2VX, 2SI for quite some time now. I've had those in my collection. But the two that were elusive were the Mac 2FX, which I had donated to the channel recently, which was a wonderful gift. Thank you very much. And then same person who donated that, he had a Mac 2X as well. Now, I did not expect him to give this to me for free, but he sold it to me for $160. So that was essentially $100 for the computer and $60 for the delivery. And if you're wondering why it's so expensive, it's because it's big and it's heavy, and it's because it had to come from the other side of the island. It had to come from Perth, and that is like 4,000 kilometers away, something like that. 2,500 miles, something like that. And so, yeah, the delivery was expensive. So, yeah, I'm very happy to have paid $160 to get this delivered. But I have to get cracking on these capacitors sooner rather than later because I can already see leakage and I can already see corrosion. Thankfully, the batteries have been removed. I don't know how long ago, but there is definitely some corrosion going on here, and it's just a matter of time. Well, We'll see when I get it under the microscope whether that is just sitting on the surface or whether that is actually getting right down into the traces. That'll be something we discover in a few moments' time. What is the full name of the new Styri Flux? Well, I should just make a quick little clarification about this Foxhound. So, if we just go back a bit, there was the Sample 88, which became Styri version 3. Now they are currently working on Sample 99, which will become version 4. But it's not ready for release yet. They are still refining it. They made up a test batch, and when they went to use it, they weren't happy with it. And so they are now going back to the drawing board to try and improve it and make it even better. And I'm not going to get in the way of people improving stuff, especially when it comes to Flux, because I love Flux. But what I do have here is I do have a couple of Fluxes, which I will be using today and testing out. Oh, crap, I forgot to bring a thing down with me. Never mind. It's fine. I'm fine now. How are you? So I've got this one here, which is the Styri ASM UHF-TF. Now, this is the ASM Flux, but it's got no things in it. Somethings in it. I can't remember that it's starts with an F. But anyhow, it's safer. This one has less nasty chemicals in it. Then I've got this one here, which is Hydra MA, which is a water-soluble one. And I tested out the Hydra MA in my review, and I was really impressed with it. And they've improved it. So they've given me this, this type, this, this little redo, whatever you call it, sort of new revision of it to try out. I'm going to try it out today. Now, I should just mention that there is a lot of confusion about the whole concept of like Amtech and Styri. Amtech you kind of have to just think of as a name, not necessarily a brand. That's the way I kind of think of it. And the reason why I say that is because there are companies making things under the banner of Amtech all over the world. And they're not all the same company. So, while this company, Styri, were making products under the name Amtech, it was just too bloody confusing. So they've just called themselves Styri. And I think it's a great idea to do that because it just saves any confusion. I mean, it's like we know what we're getting now with this. The Amtech that you'll find for sale these days, if you find the brand Amtech and you're searching for it to buy it, it's made by a company called Inventec. It is alleged that they are simply making fluxes using legacy formulas, and that they are not actually improving or innovating or anything like that. Whereas this company, Styri, these guys are smart cookies, and they are actually taking these formulas and they're improving them, and they're making so many different types of flux made with very, very specific purposes and stuff like that. And it's just, I very much approve. What's that? What's this one here? That's another ASM. I'm well set up for ASM flux at the moment, I can tell you that. It is so steamy. It is so friggin' uncomfortably moist here at the moment. Steve is here. Hello there, Steve. Welcome, 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 welcome. So, cool. Alright, so anyhow, I hope I've clarified things there with the whole Amtech Styri sort of situation. The most important thing at this stage, if you're wanting to buy good quality flux, just get the Styri. It's very easy to tell it's in this red coloured tube. They've got them in the red coloured tube. That's not just some sort of marketing ploy. They are in these tubes because they let less UV light in, which means that the contents will last longer. And I don't know if I have my UV lights over there, but these, you'll see, if you put them under UV light, you'll see there's watermarks on these to show that it's a genuine product. Alrighty then. Now, Macintosh 2X here. We've got a ROM sim here, just there. And that's great because I'm pretty sure the 2X ROM is not 32-bit clean. So this gives me the opportunity to put an aftermarket ROM sim like this that I got from Willet K-Mac Vintage, like this into here, so it will then be 32-bit clean. So that is a great thing. I'm not sure. I think it's the case, but I'm not 100% certain. But I think there were versions of the Mac 2 that had the ROM soldered on the board. There certainly were with the Mac 2X. There certainly were with the Mac 2. Now I'm going to open up my recapping guide. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a little website called Recap a Mac. And I had a lovely chat with Amber from iFixit on Friday. She is basically, iFixit is looking to try and promote DIY repair. Well, the concept of DIY repair, you know, making sure that people, and that doesn't necessarily have to mean you do it yourself, but perhaps taking something to a repair workshop or you know, a repair cafe, that sort of thing, to, you know, sort of try and keep things going rather than replace them. It's better for the environment. The environment. All right. Let's have a quick look here. So here's my website, recapamac.com.au. Don't forget the AU. If you do it without the AU, you're likely to get taken to some sort of porn site or something because someone else bought that domain name. I used to own it, and then I let it go because I couldn't be bothered, and then everyone said to me, you should get it back. And I was like, okay, I'll go get it back, but I was too late. Someone else got it. So as I say, they're probably hosting porn or something on it now. So don't go to recapmac.com, just go to com.au. I'm trying to add a few posts on this every now and again, just putting a little bit of information here. I should also make mention of an update that I made to this just recently. If I go here to Macintosh, where are we? LC 3, also known as a Performer 450. I have made an update to this now to indicate that this capacitor should be mounted with the opposite polarity to that shown on the screen printing. That's been getting a lot of media lately, getting a lot of press. That it's something that has been known for a decade, but I've just never really considered it particularly important because the computer works fine either way around. But it is definitely the correct way around is to have it opposite to the way it's actually shown on there. So anyhow, I've made that change to the guide. I've addressed it in here, the backwards cap, and I've gone and talked about why I didn't do anything about it in the past and why I'm doing something about it now, and that's kind of where we are with that. So I mainly did it for others, okay? And I'll tell you, there are a lot of really smart cookies out there, right? There's really smart people out there, technology guru type people, and they've been saying to people for a long time, oh, when you recap it, that capacitor's around the wrong way, you should mount it like this. And people have been using my website as an excuse for why they're not going to do it. Oh, if that was the case, why isn't it on Recap a Mac? And I literally just sort of had someone contacting me and saying, can you please change your website? So I'm like, yeah, all right, no worries, I'll do it. Okay. Now, I do need to go to Macintosh 2X, which is there. There we go. I'm not even sure if this is my photo. I think, was this one of the ones where someone actually sent a photo to me? See how there's a shiny bit here? See, I don't normally do that on my photo, so I either rushed it. My photos don't normally have hotspots like that. So I either rushed it or someone else photographed it. Either way, it doesn't matter. It works. It's got all the things on it. We know what we need to do. We have got, with this one, 1 10 microfarad 16 volts, 15 47 16s, and then we've got those three axial capacitors. So let me just go back here to here because I can't see the chat when I'm looking at that. Yes, exactly like I. Waves frantically at Mac 84, falls off couch. Quick recap on recapping. Do you want a recap on recapping? I can do a recap on recapping. I should actually just mention, I do apologise. This is something I should have said right at the top. Welcome to anyone who is visiting this for the very first time. Welcome to anyone who is seeing this live stream or one of my live streams for the first time. I've had quite a few new subscribers over the last few weeks. I hit 60,000 subscribers the other day, so a lot of people have been subscribing after watching my building a laundry tub ultrasonic cleaner video, which is long overdue for an update. But what I can tell you about that laundry tub ultrasonic cleaner is it is awesome. I have absolutely zero regrets. I have had only one technical malfunction with it. One of the cooling fans on the little modules, what do you call those things there? That's the driver. One of the little cooling modules on one of the drivers, it stuffed out. And it let me know, it warned me and everything. I went to go switch it on and I could hear a sort of a buzzing sound coming from one of them. And I went in and I held the fan so it didn't move, and then I let go of it, and then the buzzing stopped and it seemed to be working fine. And I was like, oh, I think that's fine. It'll be fine now. It wasn't fine now. It ran for a little while and then stopped again. And that module overheated, and I had to replace it. So I am a little bit more careful now, and what I probably should do is set up some sort of thermal monitoring on that, get a little Arduino and a couple of little temperature things, and if it actually sees a module start rising over a certain temp, shut it down. Pretty sure that's a photo from Jay's Tower of Beige, which is now Dana's Tower of Beige. It could well be. It could well be. When I needed a photo of the Mac 2X for this, it was either sort of you, Jay, or Steve that sent me the photo, but I don't remember who. I'd probably be able to find out if I search, but oh god, it's so steamy in here. I am so sick of this humidity. Get colder, please. It's me talking to the air conditioner. Okay, so we've got our little ROM module here. I'm going to just change views. We've seen enough of that. Got our ROM module. This one's got a fair bit of corrosion on these pins here, which is not good, but I'm going to put this in the ultrasonic cleaner. I want to make sure that the ROM is okay, because these things are original. I will be loading this up with RAM, these sorts of RAM. These are the ones, I did a video on these. They're from K-Koba, Satanic Mac Club. They're a little 4 megabyte DIY kit, and I basically take these RAM sims, which every time I take a chip off these, Kai cries a little bit because he desperately wants some of these. But I take the RAM off these and then I turn them into 4 megabyte sims for these sorts of computers. And that will obviously give me the ability to put 32 megabytes of RAM in this. And that is ample for a Mac 2X. I mean, yes, sure, I can take it up to 128, but why? What are you going to do with 128 megs of RAM on this sort of computer? X you that. Now these will be 1 megabyte, so I've just had a look here. They're 100 nanosecond speed. They've got the little dash 10 on them. You can't read that, of course, but they've got a little dash 10, which means they're 100 nanosecond. I don't think anyone made sims bigger than one with 100 nanosecond chips. If they're going to be 4 megabytes or more, that would be an 80 or like a dash 8 or a dash 6. To show that they are the faster ones. So these are, I would say, about a 99.9% chance that these are 1 megabyte sims, which is great. I mean, every little bit helps. I like to have, these would be good. I might put these into one of my Mac 2s, because Mac 2 is very, very finicky about RAM. And these chips, these ones with the 8 chips on them, they generally work a lot better in Mac 2s. So they can be for my Mac 2, and then I put my 4 megabyte ones in the Mac 2X, because the 2X has a newer ROM and is not as fussy about RAM, I believe. The Mac 2X is virtually an SE30. They went from 2 to 2X, and then when they upgraded the SE, they were going to call it the SEX, but they thought that might be a bad idea, so they called it the SE30 instead. But what they did, this is a 4-layer board, I think. This is a 4-layer board. I'm fairly sure it's a 4-layer board. And they took this and they squished it down, got rid of all your new bus slots and just kept the PDS slot. They squished it down and turned it into an SE30. Squish. And this is a 6-layer board. So they cram this 4-layer board down into a 6-layer board. And so when you look at an SE30, it is pretty much just a Mac 2X. Same CPU and everything. 16 megahertz 68030. So, yeah. Now, the first thing I can do is take this off because I freaking hate them. You cut yourself on them, and they're awful, and I don't like them. So it's coming off. Bye. Stupid. Stupid! Now, the other thing I absolutely despise about these boards is they are so big and they're such a pain to work on in my crammed little space here. But, you know, Ascertain 20, hello there. GT is here, hello there, GT. Just going to check here. Don't think I had one at the time you made the page. Yeah, so it would make sense. So we're just going back here into a little bit of history. Jay from the House of Moth, who's not here. Why is he not here? What's going on? Just because it's Saturday night, you're supposed to you're not allowed to be out doing things. Jay had a bit of, he managed to get hold of this great big batch of vintage Macs, 2s, 2Xs, 2FXs, and he kind of took them on as a bit of a project. He has no real interest in these, but he took it on as a bit of a project to recap some of them and get them working, and then he got a blue SCSI and tried booting them into the system and all that sort of stuff. And it was just a bit of fun at the time. They made their way to Dana. I think Dana gave him a nice crispy $20 bill for them or something like that. And one of them was a 2FX logic board inside a Mac 2 or 2X case. Which is always nice. It's always a bit of a, that's like winning a lottery when you get that. But that 2FX was quite badly damaged. Someone had put a ROM sim in the RAM or something like that and caused a massive short and burned some wires. But he did a very, very good trace repair on that. So, have you ever tested that 2FX, Dana? Does it work? Did he put the RAM sim back on? Because I think he had to take the RAM sim off, and I'm not sure if he ever put one back on. What is the status? Here you go. New vintage Macintosh RAM, 16 megabyte, 16 byte, 30 pin sim. I hope you'll probably be posting a link there, but I don't think you can put links on if you are not an admin. Hole in the board. Yes, I have that one now. It works. Pah! Good old Jay, hey? Knows his repair. There are a lot of caps on this. Why am I talking? Let's start. Let's get rid of them. These are a really easy board to recap. If you are actually thinking about trying out a board to recap to start off with, my recommendation is to go with a Mac 2 or a 2X, and the reason for that is there's just lots of space on the board. It's not particularly crammed when you need to remove these things. You're much less likely to be melting anything. Now, these caps look like they have no label on them, but they do have a label, and it's a yellow what would you call it, band around the capacitor, and when I hit these with hot air, that little yellow band is going to melt and it's going to stick to my tweezers, and so by the end of this, my tweezers are going to be covered in icky, gooey yellow shit. So, just setting some expectations. Oh, man, just what I need on a day that is so freaking hot. Here's a bit of hot air station. Oy. I mean, this is not hot by Sydney standards by any means, but it is humid. Yesterday, the relative humidity was 97% virtually all day. It got a little bit less towards the end of the day, but it was, about 97% relative humidity all day yesterday. That was very unpleasant. There we go. There she comes. Now, this is one of these boards that has this component adhesive. This is the stuff under here, this yellow stuff. You get that comes off pretty easy when you hit it with a bit of hot air, so I'm just going to do that there. But that's one of the things that makes these caps a little bit harder to remove. That component adhesive. Adhesive. Glue, as some people say. Six degrees C here. Ooh. Christopher Bourne, hello there. Okay, let's take another cap off. Now, I'm looking at these traces, and I don't see any corrosion on them, which is kind of nice. I see a lot of white stuff. I've already done a swear twice in this. I don't know why I'm stopping myself. But I see there's this white stuff. You can see all this kind of white all around there. Which is some sort of fungus or growth. I don't know. It's something on there, but it's all around. As you can see, if I zoom in on it, I'm going to zoom in on it and just show you. It's sort of like spidery. Down. Still not quite there. There we go. Do you see this? See, this is the stuff that's all over the board. Ow, that's hot. This is the stuff that's all over the board, and it's got this kind of... there we go. It's like little spidery lines all over the board. I don't know what it is, but it's going to come off very easily. All I need to do is just get into the old ultrasonic cleaner. This is what I was talking about before with these... Ow! Hotness. These little yellow bands around the capacitor. So they actually say what these caps are. There's 47 written there. But they're awful because they get all sticky and yuck. Sticky and yucky. Okay, where are Christopher on? I finally installed a diode in my plus and reflowed the solder on the analog. Yay! Excellent work. It's a wonderfully rewarding thing putting that diode on the Mac Plus, because it's such a small trivial thing to do, but then at the end of it you've got termination power you didn't have before, and that's great. The one thing you do have to worry about though with that one is later models had fuses for the SCSI termination power. That one does not have a fuse, so you just got to make sure you don't ever plug the wrong thing in or do something like that, or you're likely to fry the SCSI chip because there's just no fuse on there. That might be the reason why they never put a diode on there. They might have identified, oh look, there's this potential. People could fry this if they plug in a parallel cable or some crap like that, or a serial cable or some and so they're like, oh okay, well we just won't put termination power on it, remove the risk. But that's what I'm guessing is the justification behind it. I don't know that. It sounds like a good theory, don't you reckon? SCSI 2SD, yeah, well, that's funny. The SCSI 2SD was just was everything there for a while. I mean, I used to make them all the time. I've still got parts for making them. The one thing I don't have is the chips. They became very, very hard to get hold of. They may be a little bit easier to get hold of now, but I think I've got maybe 1 or 2 of those chips left, so I could technically go in and make maybe 1 or 2 more SCSI 2SDs if I needed. And being able to make them myself was a huge thing, because I was able to produce them for very, very cheap. And here in Australia, SCSI 2SDs were quite expensive. And so, yeah, that was a really, really cool thing to be able to make them. But nowadays, of course, I'm just going down the blue SCSI route. I've got my little blue SCSI board here. This is the particular revision that I like, and I like this revision because it has a USB-C plug here and it has a micro SD card slot there, whereas the normal one only has a large sized SD card slot. So I do quite like this particular revision. It's the one that I make, and I will probably continue making them even though they've made newer ones than that. I don't feel like there's any reason to go to the newer one when this one has all the things that I like. The only downside to this one, the board is a little bit more expensive to make, but I save so much money in making them myself that I really don't mind. UT Source not able to source those controllers for SCSI 2SD. They might. I've never tried. But I do know that virtually everyone that was in stock ended up getting bought by Rabbit Hole Computing at the time they were making them. Because remember, this is before there were any choices. SCSI 2SD was the only option out there, really. Well, that's not true. There were a few other options out there, but the main commercially available one was the SCSI 2SD. And when there was a shortage on that chip, Rabbit Hole Computing ended up just pretty much buying up every one they could find from every provider out there. Now, UT Source might have some, and I'm not sure. And to be honest, the company that made them in the first place, Cypress, they've now been bought out by someone else. They might have them in stock again now too. But now with the option of the blue SCSI, it's just not really an issue. I made a video recently about the blue SCSI. I really should just get serious about this now. About the blue SCSI, I got contacted by Eric Helgeson after making that video, and he just wanted to clarify a few things because there was a little bit of misinformation in that video, and for that I do apologise. Now, having said that, the misinformation that I put in there was accurate at the time. Well, it wasn't. First of all, you are now allowed to make your own blue SCSIs and sell them. There's no restriction on that. There was a restriction on that in the olden days, but there isn't anymore. It's now a fully open license. So if you decide you want to start making your own and then you want to start selling them on eBay, you are welcome to do so. As I say, no restrictions on that. But that information was not on the GitHub. So the fact that the license information was incorrect on the GitHub is one of the reasons why the information was incorrect when I gave it. He has since been alerted that information is incorrect. The other thing he did actually want to clarify is that he doesn't use those little bikini SD card slots. That's what I call them. They're not actually called a bikini SD card slot. That's just what I call them because they only cover a small part of the SD card. But he uses the bikini SD card slots because he likes them. Not as a cost-cutting measure. Now, they are way cheaper than the pushy-clicky ones, so that was a conclusion I came to all by myself, but it's not correct. He uses those smaller slots because he likes them. It does not change the fact that I don't like them. That opinion is not changing. I much prefer pushy-clicky slots over the ones that are just those little bikini ones. So that's my opinion, and of course that is, I'm welcome to have my own opinion. You probably have your own as well. The only other thing is he wasn't particularly happy with my portrayal of their 3D printed case, but that 3D printed case is still included with the GitHub, so until they replace it, I am going to keep saying that it's garbage. Jay is here. Hello there. Not was here. You are here. You're here to stay now. You can't go anywhere. I'm sorry. Now that you're here, you have to stay. I think when it comes to someone providing a review, what you basically do is you just lay out the information, as much information as you can, let people make their own conclusions. If you say, the advantages of this is that it does da-di-da-di-da-di-da, but the disadvantages are da-di-da-di-da, people can draw their own conclusions about it. So, all right, let's get some more of these caps off. Scope view. These are the sound chips here, by the way. There are two of them, two Sony sound chips, one there and one there. You'll find exactly the same ones on the Macintosh SE 30. And you have two because one is for the left channel and one is for the right channel. So how about that? In stereophonic sound. I know what time it is over there. It is 7:45 p.m. That's what time it is where Jay is. I know that because I'm in contact with Jay, Steve, and Dana so much that I know very quickly and easily how to calculate what time it is there. It's yesterday over there too, by the way. We've got our little sneak peek of Sunday at the moment. They've still got Sunday to go. Aren't the large boards so beautiful? I was actually chatting to someone just on Friday talking about repair, and they were sort of asking about my journey, how I actually ended up getting into doing this sort of stuff. And I explained to them that I started off doing repairs to MacBook Pros, Macs, MacBook Airs, MacBook Pro, Mac laptops, basically. And of course, when it came time to take those skills and then turn them into recapping, oh, it's an absolute walk in the park. These things are so big and they've got so much space, and it's compared to the old, compared to like the modern ones where you've got these teeny weeny little components and no labels, not a single label anywhere on the board. It's just a black void. So you absolutely have to have both a whoopsie, I don't want that to fall down, that'll burn me. You absolutely have to have a board view and a schematic. So the schematic to tell you what all the parts are, and the board view to show you where they are. And you absolutely cannot take on those repairs of those modern computers without a board view and a schematic. Oh, I dropped it. I knew it was going to happen. It's got the board at an angle, that's why. Ow. Someone's put a cross on this power button. I wonder if that means that the power doesn't work. I mean, probably. Ow! Oh, that's... Sorry, one of the capacitors landed on my body and burned me. There we go. Ucha. Ucha. Does C4 ever blow up? C4 is an explosive, isn't it? C4 blows up all the time. If that's a play on words, maybe. It's C4 is what provides the power for... It looks like it's what provides the power for the... we'll check. The hard drive. And as a result, it's probably gets a fair bit of strain on it. 12 volts, of course. Yeah. Okay, so that's... C4 is there in line with the power supply for the hard drive. So I may end up actually replacing that one either with an electrolytic or one with a higher voltage rating. It's just a safer thing to do. Asus ROG Strix boards. Because the plus is through hole, I actually enjoyed soldering. You know, you are like a lot of people, Christopher, that much prefer through hole soldering. I am actually in the opposite camp. I much prefer surface mount soldering, and that is mainly to do with rework. When it comes to through hole soldering, when you need to replace a component, you've got to desolder it, you've got to get the thing out. If you're talking about a capacitor, that's pretty straightforward. It's 2 pins, no problem. But if you're having to remove a component like a dip chip, like one of these Sony sound chips, might have 14 pins or something like that, it can become a bit of a pain in the desoldering process. Whereas with a surface mount component, equivalent component, I can just hit it with hot air and lift it off. But I totally understand that surface mount soldering takes practice. You don't just suddenly start doing it. So, you know. Oh yeah, Flex board view, yeah, by Paul Daniels, the Aussie guy. Amazing stuff. He's a smart cookie, that guy, definitely. I remember his was one of the channels where I was sort of like, oh wow, you know, this is Paul Daniels. It's like, I've got more bloody subs than he has now. I was amazed when I was like, holy crap, I've got more subs than Paul Daniels. How the hell did that happen? He's smart and I'm stupid. There's no justice in the world. That's for sure. Whenever I think of Paul Daniels, the things that always makes me laugh is that Jay from House of Moth used to actually watch his live streams quite a bit. Because Jay used to do board repair, and so he used to go on and watch Paul Daniels do board repair. And Paul Daniels, the way he used to say House of Moth, used to always provide some amusement, because he sort of says House of Moth. Hey, House of Moth. Ruggers Customs, he is a Jedi Grandmaster, he sure is. He's not streaming much anymore. Yeah, I mean, he has life stuff get in the way. I mean, I don't want to say anything, you know, but I know that there have been times where he has had problems. I don't know, health problems or work problems or whatever. But I mean, I've seen plenty of instances where he has not been a particularly happy chappy. So, you know, who knows? Look at that. What's going on here? What? I say, what? We're going to have a look at that. That doesn't look very good at all. What? I say, what? Oh! We got a popper. The ones that pop are the ones that generally aren't leaking, because the leaky ones, there's nowhere for the stuff to get compressed inside. It just leaks out the bottom. Okay, so I feel like this is nasty. Yeah, it's nasty, alright. That's all the way through. It's what we in the business call a trace break. It was nice the way it sort of showed me it was there, wasn't it? With all the gunk on top of it. There we go, that's a bit better. House of Mauve. Dear. Ruggers Customs, did I say hello to you if I didn't? I think I did, yes. Did you know they discontinued the soldering station you use? I didn't know they discontinued it, but I know that they brought out a replacement. So I'm not that surprised that they did discontinue it, because they've got, this is the FX951, and I think, yeah, it's like, I don't know, the 960 or some crap like that. I've seen it, and I'm probably going to buy one. I would like to try it out, and I can even potentially review it. And it probably won't be a very favourable review, because I have lots of issues with this one. I mean, there's a lot I like about it, and that's why I use it. But it has the stupidest interface of any soldering iron ever friggin' invented. And you need a key to change the temperature. So can you imagine that on a, you know, you're on the factory floor or something like that. Oh my God, one of the workers changed the temperature of the soldering iron. Chaos. Welding crisis. Bum, 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 bum. I need a bit of wire. Gonna need some wire in order to fix this repair things. Is that it? That doesn't look like it. Where's the... How did I end up in this situation where I cannot find the end of this? I killed one of my 3D printers yesterday. I'm going to have to buy a replacement print head. Something went wrong during the print. I don't know what, but it started accumulating huge amounts of goop. And when I went to go remove the goop, I also removed the thermostat at the same time. So, good one, eh? All right, so let's try the Stereo ASM UHF. Better get some fume extraction here, otherwise Jay will get mad at me. There we go. Now, first thing we've got to do is get a little bit of tinning going on here. I'm going to get solder on all these traces, even though it's only one that needs repair. Now they're all exposed, I want them to have some protection. And then I'll get my wire. FX971 is the replacement. Okay. I have to check, but it looks nice. I mean, I did have a look at the new one, and I thought, that looks nice. I thought to myself. Can the 971 use solder tweezers? You'll need to check that. The 951 definitely cannot. There's one of the next models down and the next model up. There's one with a dual soldering iron that uses the tweezers. I would not be at all surprised if it's the same with the 971 that it doesn't do the tweezers. But having said that, I've actually got a pair of soldering tweezers on the way to me. I was contacted by a company the other day. They said, we've got some solder tweezers. Would you like to do a review of them on your channel? And I had a look at them and I thought, actually, I think that's a really good fit for my channel. So I said, yes, I will do a review for you. And it is my understanding that they are sending me those tweezers as we speak. Okay, we've got one repaired trace there, and doesn't it feel good? I might just remove these pins here from the batteries while we're here so I don't accidentally poke myself. This solder is very crusty here, so it might be a bit of a job getting these out. Oh no, it's a spider. It's a dead spider. Sorry, fella. Sorry. Guy made a 3D printed Macintosh tablet. Oh yeah, I saw that as well, Christopher. And you know what? It's very frustrating about that for me. I was going to do something almost the same. I'm still going to do something similar, but I had seen those concept designs, and I thought, oh man, if you grab the Raspberry Pi and a lithium battery or whatever, you would be able to make one of these now and 3D print it from scratch. I thought, yep, I want to do that, but he beat me to it. So yeah, I won't be doing that now. So I've got plenty of other projects to work on, so I'm not too fussed about that. I can't get too upset if someone comes, oi, something just blew up, and I have no idea what. I can't really get upset when people come up with ideas before me. Yeah, that's a slippery slope if you're going to do that. Only so many ideas in the world. I honestly have no idea what blew up then, but it did scare me. So frightened. Now this is I was hoping to get this solder wrapping around this pin, but the pin is so dirty that the solder is just not sticking to it at all, and so I'm having trouble getting any heat moving around. I'm gonna put a bit more flux on here. I might need to hit this with hot air instead. Yeah, I'll do hot air. Come on. You know you want to come off. You can actually see the impact the hot air is having on this board. It's kind of almost like delaminating. You can see these lines coming up on the board. That happens when you hit these old boards with hot air. The newer boards don't really have that much of an issue, but the old boards sure do. Yay, we got it. Weird. Okay, how are we going to go with this one? How difficult are you going to be, Mr. Pin? This is another one on ground. Whenever I get a new idea, I always Google it to make sure I'm not reinventing the wheel. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, when it comes to things like YouTube videos, I think it's fine if there are two people doing the same thing because they can put a completely different spin on it. And I've done videos, I've done videos where I know there are already videos on that subject out there, but, Come on, Pin. Damn, this one is really stuck. Might be better off doing this from the other side. She's starting to move. Whoopsie. I've been doing some modifications to my Wolverine. In case you're wondering what a Wolverine is, it is a device for digitizing Super 8 videos. So for anyone here is old enough to know Super 8 film. Prior to videos, you know, people shot things on film, and I have quite a lot of family films shot on Super 8, and so I bought a thing called the Wolverine, which is used to digitize that. And I bought the cheap one, but I've been making modifications to it, so it will now be the same as the expensive one. Just speak to Steve about that stuff. He is the digitizer extraordinaire. It's a different brand of device, Kai. So Kai's is a thing called a Kodak Reels. Mine is a thing called a Wolverine. They do share a lot of the same mechanism, though. The Kodak Reels is arguably better quality, but it is also more expensive, I think. There we go. Just clearing out a bit of old solder from this hole here to make it easier for when I have to solder a new battery on. Now, these battery holes here are not in the right position. Just drop something. These holes are not in the right position for a standard battery holder. So I actually have a 3D printed one, and what you do is you take the little metal pins out of a standard battery holder, and then you put them inside of my 3D printed one, and then it fits perfectly on here, and it's a double one, so it just slots straight in as a single unit for the two batteries, so when you want to use half AA's. Of course, a lot of people like to use CR2032, and it's their prerogative. It's this one. Doom, 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 doom. I'm going to check up on the chat in just a minute. I'm just... Quick little bit of housekeeping on the underside of the board. I'm all out of focus here. I can't see anything, but I can't be bothered refocusing for the very short amount of time I'm going to spend here. It's my prerogative. I got that song in my head now. Son of a bitch. Whoopsie. Okay, so I've just made all of those battery holes ready for when I put a new battery on there, which won't be today, because I don't actually have any of the battery holders I need to raid the little pins from. I've got these sorts of battery holders here. These are a little half AA battery holder with a little spring in them, but I just don't like these. They just don't look period correct. They work fine. They're fully functional. But I just don't like the look of them. They kind of, I don't know, they just look really cheap. Okay. My prerogative. Okay. Seeing Collins here, we're going to just have a quick look and see if we can see the chooks. Oh no! The chook cam! Oh no! It's been very dicky lately. It's been coming in and out. And I think it's the cable. I think it's the power cable going to it. It's, you know, it's probably not. I haven't made it weatherproof enough. But, Yeah, you'd be looking at some pretty annoyed chickens at the moment. They're not big fans of the humidity either. And basically, I could probably fix the chicken camera by going out there, unplugging the power, and then plugging it back in again, and it'll probably start up. But if I get up to do something else, I might do that. But at this stage, no. There we go. These pads are certainly going to take some cleaning. They're pretty ugly. We've got ourselves a little crystal oscillator there, and that there looks like it's a real-time clock, I think. So this is probably the clock crystal above there, which will be at that weird frequency that some people remember, but I don't. This doesn't stay in my head. I always keep lots and lots of spares of those because typically on a lot of these computers the batteries are right near the real-time clock, and so when the batteries explode, one of the first things to get it is the real-time clock chip and the crystal, and so I keep plenty of spares of real-time clock chips and crystals. A rabbit ate through the cable of the rabbit cam. When fixing plastic on a Power Mac 8100, is super glue good enough, or folks, is there a better glue? Well, one of the big problems with the 8100 is when you glue something onto it, you're gluing a piece of weak plastic onto a piece of weak plastic. So oftentimes, how you join it is not the problem. It's mainly that it's probably then going to break somewhere else. I went down this rabbit hole once with an LC630. Where I had all sorts of cracks on the thing, and I was just gluing things onto it, and then it breaks somewhere else. In my opinion, what works really well with those is epoxy. So using like an araldite, an epoxy resiny type things where you mix the two together. I think they glue very well, and you can usually get you can put loads on. So if you've got a piece of plastic sticking up that snaps, you can create like a buttress underneath it, a bit of a shape like that. Another thing you can do is, of course, use super glue and bicarb of soda. That's a trick that some people may or may not know. But bicarb of soda, or sodium bicarbonate, or whatever you want to call it in your part of the world, it has a reaction with super glue. And so you can put super glue on something, and then you sprinkle a little bit of bicarb soda on it, and then you put glue on that, and then you put a bit more bicarb soda, and you can actually end up building up quite a strong, solid shape using a combination of layer upon layer of bicarb soda, super glue, bicarb soda, super glue. I've done that many times on plastic repairs, so just something worth considering. Then there is also a product that you can buy, which is It's a plastic glue, and it comes with two parts. One part is pretty much just super glue, but the other part is like a primer, and it's like a little pen, and you paint that onto the plastic, and it does something to the surface to make the super glue adhere to it better, and that's a good one as well. I've got one here actually, I think, just floating around. I can stand up here, stand up and be counted. I can't find it, but anyhow. I just use normal super glue, but then you have that primer little pen that you put on. If your Mac starts with an 8, shit's going to break. Yeah, this is true. We know when it happened. We know exactly when it happened. It happened when Apple started putting a fire retardant in their ABS plastics. And you can tell, because, you can have an LC2, and those things are solid as a rock. And there's an LC3, and it falls apart. That's how it goes. Yeah, this doesn't look very good here, does it? Thankfully, all of these traces are just going down to the J1, which is just like the debugging thing. So it doesn't matter. These traces here, doesn't matter. They're going nowhere. Look, nowhere. Mind you, they are going through here. And maybe it does matter. But anyhow, these are still fine. If I scrape the green away, you'll find that there's still copper underneath. You can generally tell the difference between a little bit of green on the trace versus a trace that is corroded all the way through. I don't actually have an 8100. I kind of would like one. But you just know that if you buy one, that it's just going to be an absolute, mess. Now, all of this stuff that's happening underneath this is all part of the startup circuit, which leads me to think that this thing probably won't work without kind of overriding the soft power up. So, first of all, the batteries need to be installed in order for the soft power to work. And I can't install batteries on this at the moment because I don't have any battery holders on it. And I could force it. But these here are all part of the startup circuit. You'll find the layout is almost exactly the same as the Mac 2 on these. And that really looks like they're busted through. I mean, see how the green is not just a light thing on the surface. It's actually bubbled up. See the way it's kind of bubbled up? It's like in 3 dimensions. It's lifted up in the air. That's almost definitely corroded all the way through the trace. So all those are going to need to be fixed up. It's a good job that I know how to do that. And then we've got here a little, what is it? It's a 10 microfarad 16 volt. Not sure why they decided to do this one as an axial capacitor rather than a surface mount. There's no reason why this one couldn't be a surface mount. I don't know if it's a cost thing or something. And I think you'll find that when we lift this up, when we take this off, which I'm going to do now, snippety snoop, you've actually got pads here for a surface mount if you want. So, what the hell, Apple? So I haven't been paying much attention to the chat. I do apologise. Okay. Oh, who's referring to Francisco? Where are we? Yeah, so Francisco Perez. Let's see if I can find what you said. I just read about the error on the LC3 capacitor Apple made on the printing one of the caps in reverse. Yes, so if you go to my Recap Mac website, I'm just going to go there now. We'll just quickly look at this. I'll come back to this. But if you go to Resources and you go to LC3, also known as the Performer 450, you'll find I've got information here on the backwards cap. Feel free to read that, read it up, find out about it. And so this is something that's been known for over a decade. So for certain reasons, I didn't put it on my recapping guide. But with the, I sort of went into an explanation as to why it's on the guide now, and it's mainly for the benefit of others who are getting tired of telling people it's on backwards, and then having them say, "Well, if that's backwards, why is it not on Recap Mac?" So now it is on Recap Mac. So no one needs to worry about that anymore. Wordsmith. If you put that through the ultrasonic cleaner with that bubbled up trace, would that fall off and result in exposed trace? Almost definitely yes. I would say that if I was to drop this into the ultrasonic right now, all of this crappy stuff would go and would just leave holes. But anyhow, let's have a look, shall we? Oh, I didn't take this one off. I got sidetracked. Trackside. There's cricket on today, so I hope everyone appreciates the sacrifice. I'm not sitting and watching cricket right now. There's 2 games on. There's a one-day game between Australia and India in the women's game. That's just a one-day international, so that's one of the short forms of the game. And then it is also day 3 of the second test with Australia versus India men's. And that is shaping up to be a pretty good game. There we go. Pin is out. Alright, so let's now see what we can see with this. That's a scrapey scrape. We've got a break. Scrapey scrape. Break, breaky, achy breaky heart. So one thing I can tell you with this particular Mac, the startup circuit would definitely not work in its current condition. I'm going to take this chip off. Just think it's going to make it easier to clean everything up. I never got cricket. Seems like just an excuse to sit down and day drink. And at its top level, cricket at its top level is an amazing game. It's for the sort of sport that it is. I mean, when people are out there for hours and hours and hours, there's an incredible amount of skill and endurance in playing a game of cricket. But I quite understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not going to criticise anyone for not liking cricket. It's just the same as I bloody hate golf. Righty. Let's get in here and expose some of these traces, because it looks like shit, to be honest. Hockey is the best sport. I can't say I've ever watched a game of hockey. It's not a sport which is... I mean, I'm sure there are hockey out here, but, it doesn't snow here. There's only, I think, one ice skating rink left in Sydney, I think. Maybe two. But I think there's only one ice skating rink left in Sydney. So, all the rest kind of closed. There used to be one just up the road from where I live. They actually used it during the 2000 Olympics. No, they used it during some sort of Olympics. I guess it would be Winter Olympics, wouldn't it? They wouldn't have Winter Olympics here in Sydney because we don't get snow. So I don't know what the ice skating rink was used for. But yeah, they just, it's just not a money spinner. Ice skating just isn't really much of a thing out here. I imagine it costs an absolute fortune to run an ice skating rink in Australia as well, because it's so freaking hot. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't snow in Australia. It does snow in Australia, but not in Sydney. I would not function in a Midwest winter. I do not have the resources to deal with major colds. I just don't. I don't have the clothes. I don't have the temperament. I hate being cold. I'd rather be a bit hot than a lot cold. So if I'm going somewhere and it's like, it might get cold tonight, I'll just wear more clothes. And then if I'm hot, I'm like, well, at least I'm not cold. Okay, so we've really only got, of all the mess that we had there, there's really only one break and it's right there. But I will run a wire all the way along here because it just doesn't look too crash up. But I think I'll stick the chip back on first. If you ever make it to Minneapolis in the winter or go to a game, for sure, it's a date. I was not really much of a sport person growing up. I did play some sports. I played rugby league. Actually, I played soccer when I was very young, but I hated it. So I just don't feel like that counts. But yeah, I played, when I was in high school, I played a little bit of rugby league, and that was because I was a unit back then. I was someone who went through puberty before everyone else did, so I was larger than all my school friends. So I was in the rugby league team because I could just bowl them over. It's hard to believe now because I'm a very, very average height. But I was kind of this height from when I was about, I don't know, 13 or something like that. So I just shot right up and then just never went any further. Do. Sports field nickname was the Fridge because I was built like one. I was a fly half in rugby. Doesn't surprise me, Kai. Does not surprise me one little bit. Here it is. Sorry, I lost my wire. Can't be having that. Right, so I really should have this board facing the other way because I am right-handed, but that's just too hard, so I'm going to try and do this backwards with my left hand. There we go. We're good. We're good. How good? Ebenezer good. That's how good. Except that now we're not because I just moved it. Crud. I am really struggling with the left hand here. So the tweezers are in my left hand. I would normally... yeah. Oh, this is difficult. Okay, so let's just get a bit more flux on here. This is using this new ASM formula flux. I've got absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. It seems to be doing really, really well. And apparently this one is better for you. It's less calories. No, that's not true. It's it doesn't have as much nasty chemicals in it. And the next one I'm going to try is going to be this MA, the Hydra MA. The Hydra in my review was the one that really surprised me. I was expecting it to be awful. I thought this is a water-soluble one. This thing is just going to burn away and it's not going to be useful as a flux at all. But I was so wrong. It was actually a really, really good flux to use. So they've improved that formula, which is like, gosh, apparently it now lasts even longer on the board when exposed to heat. So I'm going to give that one a try next. Okay, another trace repair done. Let's clean that up a little bit so we can have a good old Stucky boik. This is just isopropyl alcohol that I'm using. Stuff that I go through at a rate of knots, which is why I buy it in large 20-litre vats. Or what would you call it? It's a bottle. It's a big bottle. Okay, we'll just check and make sure. So often when I do trace repairs, I get comments later on of people saying, did you check the continuity of that repair that you just did? And I'm sort of like, well, no, I didn't because I know it's fine. But just to keep everyone happy, I am going to check the continuity. So we're going from here to here. Beep. Beep. We're good. Great. Great stuff. Okay, we've got a couple of caps over here. Got to get rid of. How are we going? I've been going for an hour and 25. I was Really wanting to try and keep this live stream under 2 hours, only because I am still recovering from surgery and I don't want to overdo it. So we'll see how we go. My main fear with this Mac 2X is, now having looked at it a bit, I suspect I'm going to need to spend a bit of time looking over it for busted traces. The fact that I've found a couple already, and they were ones I just discovered because that's where I was looking. I'd say there's a good chance there'll be some more, and I'm going to need to give the board a proper inspectorini. Really tooty. Right, so that's all of the surface mounts off. Under 2 hours. You know, Jay, you get better value from my live streams if you are more prompt, if you arrive on time. And today, I'm willing to let it slide, but it has to be noted that you were late. Okay, let's try this Hydra MA. There we go. Oh, crap, this is already coming out. So this is the MA stuff. I love the colour. Lovely and clear. It's kind of coming out whether I want it to or not, so I'm just going to put some of it in places where I can actually use it. There we go. So, look how clear it is. Oh, I like it. I like it. Oh, dear. Oops, I've got to turn this thing on. Ooh, okay. Doesn't smell too bad. This is the MA. Okay. That one's clean. This house is clean. Telling you, I was just quoting a line there from the movie Poltergeist. That is such a good movie, Poltergeist. Bloody love that film. I can sit down and watch that any time. Great movie. Great good movie. Oopsie. They're here. She dead. The little girl from that movie, she dead. She had some sort of issue with her digestion or something like that. Her stomach, and something went very, very badly wrong and she died. It's very sad. She was only young. And of course, the older daughter from that movie, who's hardly in the movie at all, partway through the film, she just goes and stays with a friend. So it's just the little kid and the little boy and the little girl. The older sister leaves the film quite early on and just comes back at the very end. She was murdered by her boyfriend. Not good. Not good at all. Big Trouble in Little China. What a great film that is. Back in the days when Kim Cattrall was hot. Oh, when the guy's looking in the mirror and picking his face off. The thing about that is that when you watch it today with today's eyes, it's so obviously a special effect, you know. But, you know, it's still effective. And, you know, you suspend disbelief and stuff and you just get into it. But yeah, I for sure. That's creepy stuff goes on in there. The thing I love about that movie is when they get the experts to come in, and and the experts, they're saying things like, "Oh, we once observed a toy that moved all by itself. It moved a foot in like 6 hours or something. We've got it on time-lapse photography." And they're all going, oh, yeah, okay. And then they open the door to the girl's bedroom, and there's just things flying around all over the place. And then the experts, they're sort of, they go to have a cup of tea, and their teacup shaking. It's great stuff. It's just a really well-made film. I mean, there's no dead spots in it. I just find it's just a beautifully made horror film, and of course, it has lots of laughs in it as well. I don't think people appreciate how important humour is to make a good horror film, because if the film is just horror start to finish, it gets too much. It gets too intense. It takes away from the viewing pleasure. Horror films have to have high and low points. So you got to have the horror, you got to have the scary bits, you got to have the jump scares, that sort of stuff. Then you've got to then come down from that, and you've got to have the moments of a bit of levity and humour and all that sort of stuff. And Poltergeist is a really good example of that, one that just gets that balance really good. I actually love horror films. It's one of my favourite film genres. I don't get to watch as many as I would like because, well, I don't particularly like watching them by myself because they're scary. And my wife doesn't always want to watch them. Sometimes she does. There's a film, an Australian film called Talk to Me, horror film that came out, I think, last year. Don't know if anyone has seen it. But we watched that, and it's a very, very good horror film. But it's extremely distressing. And she watched that, and she was like, I don't want to watch horror films anymore. So, I'll have to sort of try and bring her around again. Event Horizon is a very scary film. Event Horizon is just... because it's really disturbing, creepy, scary stuff. The isolation that they're in, and all the weird stuff that's going on, and the deterioration of mental health and all that sort of stuff. Again, very clever film, but it's pretty hardcore. I recommend people watch it if they haven't seen it, but be ready. I like Quiet Place. The first one, I wasn't particularly thrilled with the second one, but the very first one, the original A Quiet Place, I thought was a really, really well-crafted horror film. What else have we got here? Where are we? I'm just checking to see if Kim's still hot for an 80-year-old. So we're just talking about Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, it's a fun film. That is there's a lot going on, and of course I really like Kurt Russell as well. I think he's very good. I think there's good fun in that film, as well as it being quite exciting. It was a good romp. I think it was a 1980s film. Just 1980s did some good films like that. I really liked The Conjuring, the first one. I thought that was a great film. Second one, not so good. The first Conjuring film I thought was really good. Golden Child, that's a fun film. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, I have to admit. It was one of the films that I knew quite a bit about at the time because of the special effects that were in it. I was very interested in film and television special effects when I was younger. It was sort of an area that I wanted to get into. Practical effects, not computer effects, but yeah, the opportunity did not arise. It's a very, very competitive area to get into, and you really need to stand out to get in that. And I did not stand out. I did not stand out at all. I am the first to admit. Not to mention that Australia is not really the world capital for special effects. Well, it certainly wasn't when I was young. The Thing's a great film. The original one with Kurt Russell, and all of those wonderful practical effects by Rob Bottin. It's got a cult following, that film. I mean, let's face it. And they made a prequel to it, only a few years ago. Pamela Anderson tape. Yeah, I'm not sure if that counts. Annabelle. Now, I did see Annabelle, and I don't necessarily. I can't remember it, so that doesn't say much about it. I know it did have some scares in it, but I can't remember much more about that. That. Oh, what was the one where was it the Demon Hour or something like that, where they did it? Just came out last year, I think. Might have even been earlier this year. At the TV station, the whole film is essentially like a found footage type thing, watching a replay of a television show from, I think it was the 60s or 70s, I think. And I think it was called The Devil's Hour or something like that. Haven't seen The Nun. Haven't seen all of, because I know that that's a bit of a franchise, that Conjuring thing with the two people, the couple. Can't remember their names, but I haven't seen The Nun. Anyone seen Devil where they are stuck in the elevator? I have not seen that. I have never seen They Live. I've got it, but I've never watched it. Can you believe that? Late Night with the Devil. That was a bloody good film. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's really, really good. And it was shot here in Australia as well. We definitely do some good horror here. Because Talk to Me was also an Australian film. And they're making a sequel to that. There is a Talk to Me 2 coming out. Talk to Me 2. Shaun of the Dead, that's good fun. It's good because it's sort of like it's having a bit of fun at the zombie genre at a time when we thought it would be impossible for them to make even more zombies films. But oh no, it's not impossible. We can keep zombie genre going as long as you like. Recently watched a series, two seasons of it, called what was it called? Black Summer or something like that. Black Summer, Dark Summer. I don't know, something like that. And it's another zombie genre film or TV series. The zombies in it are much more like World War Z zombies that are really, really fast and extremely dangerous and hard to kill, unlike the ones in Walking Dead where they seem pretty darn easy to kill. Wolf Creek, yeah, I felt like Wolf Creek got sort of... I think it got a bit blown out of proportion. It's a good film, but it's not a great film. With John Jarratt. And I tell you what, there are some films that I absolutely... Oh, here's one. If you have not seen this, you've got to see it. Because again, this one is good fun. It's fun tongue-in-cheek stuff. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. With, what's his name? The guy who played the part of the Phantom. Billy Zane. That is such a good film. It's so much fun. Well worth a watch. And if you like horror TV series, one from a long time ago that I think probably was under the radar for a lot of people. It wasn't really horror, it was just kind of creepy. was American Gothic with what's the actor's name? Gary Cole in it. Gary Cole, who of course he played the father in the Brady Bunch movie in the remake. He's a wonderful voice actor as well. He does all voice characterizations in Family Guy and stuff like that. He's a great actor. And anyhow, there was this TV series called American Gothic, which came out, I think, in the 90s. And I absolutely loved it, but I don't think anyone saw it. The Priest with Russell Crowe, I didn't mind that one. That first one, I think it was... Yeah, I didn't mind that one. With him doing the silly Italian accent the whole way through. I didn't mind that. The Langoliers. Yeah, as long as you don't look at the special effects, Jay. That needs to be remade. It really does. With today's special effects, I think that book, it's based on a Stephen King book called The Langoliers, I think that could be remade, because that is creepy. That was a really creepy story, but it just wasn't executed terribly well in that TV, made-for-TV movie. Warm Bodies is an alternative zombie movie. Now, I haven't seen that. That's the one with... what's his name? The guy... Shivers, his name will come to me. He's in so much stuff. He's in a movie that's out right now. I can't think of his name. But yeah, that does interest me, that one. I haven't seen it, but it does interest me. Pope's Exorcism. The Pope's Exorcism. Was that it? The Pope's... Because he was in a movie called The Exorcist, but he was in another movie called The Pope's Exorcism. And I think it's The Pope's Exorcism I'm thinking of, and I enjoyed that. Plop. Hello, Francois. Welcome. Someone's at the door. Yeah, someone here has seen American Gothic. I mean, it was a low budget TV series. I mean, you got to have your expectations in the right place with that. But it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I have the whole thing. I bought it on DVD many moons ago. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, I've cleaned all of these caps. I now just need to stick new ones on. Now, they're pretty much all 47s, with the exception of the little one up there, which is the 10 microfarad 16. Let me see what I've got in the way of my... Because I can replace it with an axial, but I don't think I will. SMT, tantalums... Where are the rest of my tantalums? There's electrolytics. Oh, here we are. Here we are. So what have I got? I've got 10 microfarad, 25 volts. They're different ones. 10 microfarad, 16 volt. And what have I got here? I've got a whole bunch more of these, but I've got to do labels. I don't like sticking them in here unless I have labels. Okay. Brought some here. What have I got? I've got 3.3. This, it's got no idea what that is. That's 15 microfarad. Isn't that 15 microfarad? It's just such a weird amount, isn't it? Alright, so, look, I think I can just go ahead and stick this, I'll stick a 10 microfarad. Should I? Yeah. I just, I don't, just because, I don't know. I just feel like I'm replacing a really big capacitor with a really tiny one. I'm just never really sure if I should be doing that. Maybe I should stick something a little bit higher on there, or maybe I should stick an electrolytic on there. Surface mount electrolytic. What have I got? 10 microfarad 16. There we go. I'm going to stick an electrolytic in its place, but I'm going to stick a polymer, so it is not going to ever leak. This is my little guy here. And so we'll just pop him. Here's the little fella. There we go. So this is a 10 microfarad 16 volt polymer electrolytic. So he won't leak, and we're going to put him there and everyone will be happy. There will be no complaints from anyone. Here we go. Oops, I've lost the chat. What's going on? What's going on, Rain? Here we go. Drugs are bad, okay? Not tantalum, why? Okay, here's why. And my justification might be stupid. Apple decided to put in this position, instead of one of their standard electrolytic caps, they put a great big axial capacitor. And I don't know why. I sort of feel like they know something that I don't know. So I thought to myself, rather than just put a tantalum on there, I'll put an electrolytic, a polymer electrolytic, a really good, expensive one. And we'll do that. I've got two here that I haven't cleaned. Sorry. And it's the same with... So, when there are spikes, if there are spikes in the power going through these, electrolytics cope with spikes better than tantalums do. And so I figured that if they've put a big cap on there because maybe there are spikes, then I will put on an electrolytic because it will cope with spikes better. So that's my justification. But, you know, that could be completely and totally nonsense. I mean, you know, what do I know? I'm not an electronics engineer. I'm just some guy. Now, I've got heaps of tantalums to that size. Heaps of them. But I am also going to replace C4 with an electrolytic, and I'll probably replace it with a higher voltage one. I'm going to put a 16 microfarad 25 volt on there, if I have one. That's tantalums. That's electrolytic. What did I say? 4725. 4725, 4720. Nope. 4725. And this is also a polymer. Always like the polymers, because we don't want these to leak. I am making this as future-proof as I possibly can, because I want to use this Mac 2X for years to come. Well, until I'm dead, and then it'll probably be someone else's problem. I'll be like, what are we going to do with all this old shit? Other way around. Hoips. Hoips and hoips and hoips of fun. Come on. There we go. So this one here definitely... So this capacitor gets a lot of load on it. That's why I put in a electrolytic 25 volt. So it's, again, it's just a bit of future proofing. All the rest are just going to stick on the tantalums. So we're all fine with that now. Fine now with that. I am a little bit concerned, though, that I might be running low on caps, because I don't think I've bought any in a while. I got enough for this. I've got enough. Is enough. Whoops. I just lost my thing. The hood just slipped off my snake. Does your Plus analog board have lots of different color caps? Christopher Bourne. Does it, Christopher? Got the caps on animal board of the Plus today. They look like Coke cans. Oh, interesting. So I guess they red then. It is a pretty purple, isn't it? I love it when they have they got like the light purple or they got a light blue. They're nice, those caps. It's beautiful. So interesting thing. Tantalum. Tantalum is what is in tantalum capacitors. Tantalum is quite a rare mineral, so we can potentially see a time in the future where we may not be able to make tantalum caps anymore because we might run out of tantalum. Tantalum is apparently, there's about the same amount of tantalum on the planet Earth as there is uranium. Don't ask me why they use that parallel, but they use that parallel. And tantalum has, I believe, one of the highest melting points of any metal, the highest being tungsten. It's one of the reasons why they use tungsten for filaments on globes, because it has such a high melting point. But tantalum is not far behind it in terms of its melting point. So there's a little lesson on tantalum today. Are we having fun yet? I think I need like 10 of these. I'll just grab 5 for the moment, because we don't want to tempt the capacitor fairies, do we? 3, 4, 5. I'm going to need to make another blue scuzzy too, because, I mean, as I said in the video that I did recently about blue scuzzies, I just make them to order. When I get a new Mac and I need a new blue scuzzy, I just make them. And I have, I think, run out, so I'm going to have to make one for this guy, because I am definitely going to want to put a blue scuzzy in this when I'm finished. I've got plenty of video cards. I think I've even got a network card, so I can get this one onto Ethernet if I want to do it via cable. But of course I can just do that with the blue scuzzy wireless if I want. I have an advantage that the place where I generally use vintage computers, it's in one of 2 locations. It's either here in the workshop. Yeah. It's either here in the workshop or it's up in the living room of my house, and both places are very, very close to Wi-Fi sort of hubs, Wi-Fi transmitters. So these little the little wireless thingy on the Raspberry Pi Pico doesn't have an antenna, or it doesn't have much of an antenna, so they don't work if they're a long way away from the Wi-Fi transmitter. So thankfully, because of my setup, I don't have that issue. But I do believe it is an issue for a lot of people. They just haven't been able to get their Wi-Fi to work because they're too far away from the transmitter. Okay, 2 caps on. Yeah, who is the evil engineer who put the line on the opposite leg of a tantalum capacitor? I don't know. Someone. Why do you keep staying up for 48 hours, you crazy man? Jay? Well, good night, Jay. Thank you for joining. I am also going to be watching that series soon, but I've got to finish the one that I'm watching now. I'm watching a show called The Madness, and I have found it to be extremely good. Very exciting. It's frustrating. I won't say any more than that because I don't want any spoilers. It does get frustrating at times, but it's a good show. Oops, I just lent my external blue scuzzy to Fabunio to test with his Falcon because Cubase is picky about discs, has its own drivers. Seem to work, but with weirdness. I'll tell you, horror films that I absolutely loved were the ones that came out during the 80s. There were some absolute crackers that came out during that era. Things like House, The Gate, Return of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead 2, Return of the Living Dead 3. What else? Oh, what about Creep Show? The Creep Show movies, Creep Show 1, Creep Show 1 and Creep Show 2. Such a great time for horror films in the 1980s. I mean, you know, they're all fairly low budget. And Night of the Creeps. That's a freaking good one. If you haven't seen it, Night of the Creeps. I think we should get this all recapped in time. I've got about 4 minutes left before I want to finish the stream. I will go until I have recapped this, and then we'll just give it some power and see if it chimes. If it does not chime, I will not be doing any diagnostics or anything there. I do need to give myself a break because I am still recovering. And the last thing I need is a setback because, whoopsie, I've had enough time off work already, and I really cannot afford to take any more off. People annoyed me. And despite what is often the case for some people, Christmas is actually usually a pretty busy time for me because I have a lot of people wanting to make, you know, it's the time when their work gets a little bit quieter. So they then come to me and start talking about making updates to a website or to a system or something like that. So even though I accept that it's a quiet time for some people, Christmas is usually a pretty busy time for me. Very rarely any shortage of work. One of my chickens is making a lot of noise. Is the camera working again now? Yay! Hello, chickens! So you can't hear it because of the fume extractor and everything, but this chicken that's just above my head here, just to the right above my head, she is just making constant noise, and she is basically saying, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy, I'm unhappy. Now, why is she unhappy? Any number of reasons. Because it's hot and humid. That's probably one reason. I haven't taken their treats out to them today. That's probably another reason. Yeah. Anywho, just keeping me in good stead with the neighbours. Hey. Hey. Dorkily, 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 dorkily. Let's keep moving. Just keep swimming. Now, I'm not going to replace the remainder of these axial caps. I can actually clip them off and test without them. I'm pretty sure the thing works without those caps on there. But I will replace them I won't do them in today's live stream. But they'll be fine. They won't need to be replaced for the thing to work. Those old axial caps are usually so reliable. Same with the axial batteries. I've never really known those axial batteries to explode. I've seen them leak a little, but I've never seen them explode. And it's just a funny thing. I mean, you know, if you look like a Macintosh SE, and it's a Macintosh SE, Macintosh 2X, you know, all of the earlier ones had the axial batteries, and those ones, they're still usually pretty good. They do sometimes promote some corrosion from electrolysis or whatever, because there's power in those traces. It actually makes them rust. Are the fumes going on the house? Are the fumes going on the house, or is it just an optical illusion? Are the fumes going on the house? I don't know what that means. Name brand of the flux that I use. You will actually find a link in the description of the video, and you'll also find a discount code there. But the brand is Styri. The one that I prefer is the Styri ASM flux. So, to Hateful Teddy Bear, If you just look in the description of this video, you will find a link that'll take you straight to the Styri store. Chicken's house on the camera. Let's have a look. Chukkan. So there are no fumes there, but what there is there's something on the lens up in the top. So can you see where that white chicken coop is? It looks all misty there. That's actually just because there's something on the lens. It's probably a spider or a bit of spider web or something like that. I just need to clean the lens, and that's just making it cloudy. And then I think what's happening is with the wind moving, it's making it look like it's a mist or steam or something, but it's not. So my guess is probably spider web, because they build their webs on my cameras, because they just do. It's their thing. Oh. So just wanting to set everyone's expectations for when I do test this in a few minutes' time, that I did find 2 broken traces without even really looking for them. So I think there's a fairly good chance that there will be other broken traces on this board. I haven't gone exploring yet. I haven't gone checking for that. So there is that possibility that there is a fairly high likelihood that this won't work when I try it out for that reason. I do love a good old-fashioned recap. I really do. I get a lot from recapping these. I get a lot of joy. And I get even more joy from knowing that I get these computers working again. You have a computer that doesn't work. There's no way this one would fire up in its current condition. Just no way at all. And you take something and then you potentially, hopefully, then make it work again. And then we can relive a little bit of history, which I think is good fun. A computer like this with a 680 3016 megahertz, so same speed as a Macintosh SE30. You have to think carefully about the sorts of games you're going to play on this. It's not going to do a good job with something like Wolfenstein, so I would forget about that. You're certainly not going to be able to play Doom or anything like that on something like this. I would think in terms of operating systems, a good fit for this would either be 7.01 or 7.1. If you're wanting to do networking, install Open Transport on it so that you can use the sort of TCP/IP control panel. And in terms of games, well, I mean, if you're a strategy-style game person, which I am very much, I like strategy games, you could quite happily on this one play Warlords, Warcraft. You could play the original... What did I say? I said... Well, yeah, the original Warcraft, Warlords. You could play Civilization, Sid Meier's Civilization. They're all in colour, so you'll take advantage of the nice colour screen on this thing. So yeah, there's plenty of good stuff that you can play on these. Now, how many did it say I have? I have 15. Man, that's even more than a bloody LC. It's 13 capacitors on an LC2. There's 15 on this one, so I'm gonna get another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like half my supply gone. Yeah, Hateful Teddy Bear, I am very, very finicky about Flux. I did a review video of different types of fluxes, and you'll see in that just how finicky I am. The things that I like. I don't want it to be too hard to clean up. I don't want it to burn away too quickly. I don't want it to be too dark so that I can't see through it. I don't want it to leave a really yucky black residue on the board afterwards. And I've had some that did that. Oh my goodness. Just rubbish. There was one Flux in particular, and I just used a bit of it, and then I just threw the whole thing away. It's terrible. It was at a time when I was testing different fluxes out, because here in Australia, Flux and previously Amtech, you couldn't get from a local reseller. So I was trying out fluxes that I could buy from a local reseller, and I did find one that I liked. It's bloody expensive. It was a chip quick one. I did like it, but it was expensive. But it's not really an issue anymore because there is now an Australian distributor for Flux. So I should start putting a link to them in my description. They're called Dialed In. All one word. Dialed In. Dialed in. Dialed in. Dialed in. Dialed in, dialed in, dialed in. Do. Okay, we're getting really close here, people, so don't you fret. Don't you fret none. Oh, it's going to be a snug fit down here, isn't it? I don't want to melt anything. When I've finished this, I need to check and see how my wife is going painting. She's doing a bit of painting, so if she needs my help, see if she needs my help with that. She probably doesn't. She's a very capable human being. And then I'm also doing work on my Wolverine Super 8 film digitizer. And I have modified my Wolverine so that it has pretty much all the same features as the Wolverine Pro. And I am looking to test that out this afternoon to see that all of my mods work. Thanks to a little bit of 3D printing, a little bit of firmware updating. I don't know how many people here are old enough to remember 8mm film, but my father's father, my grandfather, he used to take films, you know, sort of, and then that camera, I think my dad ended up getting a camera as well, so we did films in our family, and then of course I did little films as hobby when I was a youngster as well. Now I believe there's still one more cap that I haven't done yet. I just got to find the friggin' thing. Where are you? Oh, hang on. No, I don't need it because I used an electrolytic on one, so I only needed 14. So we'll just check. 1, 2, 3. Oh, crap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Did I just count one twice? No, there were 4 there, yeah, so 15. Okay, so that's it. That's my 15. So I had one that I replaced with an electrolytic and one that and the rest, the 14, I replaced with tantalums. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to plug in some power and a speaker and we're going to see if it chimes. I'm not going to worry about a screen. Chime is enough for me at this stage. This still has to go into the ultrasonic cleaner, and keeping in mind that this going into the ultrasonic cleaner could very well not work afterwards, because if we do have some traces that are just being held on by a thread of rust at the moment, making some continuity, you go into the ultrasonic cleaner, gets rid of that rust, and the next you break a trace. So this needs to be cleaned. I can't avoid that, but you will often find with a board like this, with the sorts of damage that I'm seeing here, that it will sometimes work and then go into the ultrasonic cleaner and stop working. Then you've got to go back and check. Also do need to keep in mind that these sorts of crystal oscillators, particularly these ones in the box, some of these are fairly susceptible to ultrasonic cleaning as well. So if you have them in the ultrasonic cleaner too long, you could end up damaging those. It can't be helped, really, and these are still readily available and replaceable. So if you do damage one, I just recommend, if people are doing a lot of this sort of stuff, just keep a few spares. This is a 40 megahertz here, and this one is a 31.3344. just like that. Film digitizer. Yes, it is a film digitizer. If you do a search for the Wolverine film digitizer, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll see that there are two models. There's the Wolverine and the Wolverine Pro. The main difference is the Pro can take larger spools, larger reels go onto the film. Well, I've modified the original one to put little arms on it so that I can put big reels onto it. Because I've only got two, but I've got two films that I haven't been able to scan because the reels have been too big. Right. This looks like it fell down and didn't... it looks like it fell down. Right, here's my power supply. This is the one that I use, which will actually remove the need for soft power, because it's just going to send power to the thing anyway. And I just need to find a speaker to test with. And I know I had one here, but I just have to find it. Is this a speaker? This is a speaker. Does it work? Nice, quick, easy way to test a speaker to see if it works. People may or may not know this. I'm sure plenty of people do. But just if it does happen, you just get your multimeter, you put it onto resistance mode, and you measure across the positive and negative from there to there. And we are getting 15, 16 ohms. And this here is a 16 ohm speaker, so we can say fairly safely this one works. Now, the speaker is not in the best condition because I stepped on it, but it does make noise, so that's all I need. I didn't mean to step on it. I didn't do it on purpose. It's not like I make a habit of going around stepping on speakers. That's not my thing at all. But I stepped on it. Now, I am going to use a non... Well, you know, let's start this off using this ROM. I'm just a bit concerned because it's pretty corroded. I'm just not sure it's going to be making decent contact with these pins. So I'll just clean it a little bit. Oh, where's my little Fibro pen thingy? You know what I could use for this? I'll use my Dremel. Jamel. Come on, Jamel. Have I got the right attachment on? Oh, I've even got the right attachment on. How often does that happen? Like, never. Now, if I don't get anything from this ROM, I will try a different ROM, because this corrosion could, of course, have gone to the point of breaking a trace. So I'm going to put that on there. We're going to get our little 4 megabytes of Ramadoodle. I feel like I'm sounding like Joe now. And we'll put that in there. Bank A. Plastic SIM slots. How much do we love plastic SIM slots? I mean, I know they're all plastic, but as in they have the little clips of plastic on the side. Universally despised. There we go. 4 megs of RAM. Got a ROM in there. Got a speaker. Now we just got to get some power to it. So I'll just plug these in. I've got... It goes there. He goes there. Get on there, you thing, you, with things. And that one goes there. Like that. Just like that. So, when I plug this in, this one does not have a power switch on it. So when I plug it in, it will immediately just come to life. So that will be our point of testing. Once again, setting expectations. I'm pretty sure there are some trace damage on this board, so I'd say there's a good chance it won't start. And also, that ROM looks pretty rough, so that could cause a problem as well. But we'll switch it on. We'll see what ends up happening, and we'll just see if it's something I look at now or if it's something I look at later on. And 3, 2, 1. It made a noise. It went squeak. It made a little squeaky noise. When I press the restart button, I can hear it go pop. So the reset button is definitely working. I am going to try the different ROM now, and then we'll call it a day. The next thing I'll do after that, I'm going to drop this in the ultrasonic cleaner behind me, which is on. It's been heating up the whole time I've been live streaming. Did my sound go? Yeah, my sound went. That was always going to happen. Sorry, folks. I've got my spicy battery here. This is my spicy battery. It's like a pillow biscuit. There we go. So this one doesn't last as long as the other one because I need to replace the battery. So can you hear me now? Are you able to hear me? I know I'm coming through the microphone up here, so the sound quality will not be as good. I appreciate that. So can everyone hear me now? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can hear you now. Good, excellent. K-Mac, Will, what can you tell me about this? I put your ROM in there. It's not chiming. It's not getting any noise. But when I switched it on, we get blinky lights and then a solid light and then blinky light. And what can you tell me about that? I like the light. I mean, it's cool. But if I press the reset button now, I'm going to do that. Reset. Oops. Hang on. Reset. No. Or is it this one? No. Okay. Solid. So it was all flickery, and then it just sort of went. No, it's good. Flickery again now. There we go. That could be because I pressed the reset button. So I feel like it's doing something. Maybe we just don't have sound. It might actually be working, but just with no sound. I guess I could stick a video camera on it. Light solid is Mac 2 family mode. So why is it flickering? Why does it keep flickering like that? Flicker, flicker, flicker. Flicker. Flicker, flicker. Why haven't I replaced the battery? I don't know. I've got to open it up and look at it. It's just one of the gazillion tasks that needs to be done that I haven't done yet. I've got stuff to do for other people. I've got stuff to do for myself. It's I've got to get a bunch of SE30 boards packed up and sent out to Max. I've got this bloody Color Classic here that I've got to get the analog board tested. Might even get a chance to do that today if I can stand the heat. It's so freaking hot down here. No LED would be quadruple former mode. Okay, flickering is odd, not something seen before. Okay, well that tells us there's probably a problem here. I'm just going to disconnect the power here. I'm just going to do the normal thing here of just giving it all these things a push. Oh, I got a chime that time. Okay, I got a chime with me holding this down. So I think we're just looking at poor contacts there. So that's probably it. You wouldn't have heard it. It was so freaking quiet, but it definitely chimed. So I think probably because, well, so this ROM here, these pins are all crud, and I haven't looked at this under the microscope. This could well be fully corroded. This one here, it seems to be working because it definitely did chime, but it's not making proper contact. I'll have to push it. So that's fine, that's normal. I'll probably put some pads on, I'll put some solder on the pads to thicken it out a little bit, make better contact. Hello, Charlie. So I'm just going to, I can't because this microphone doesn't work anymore. I was going to see if you could hear the chime, but the microphone's all the way over there now, so sorry about that. But it did chime, so bling, you just have to take my word for it, it chimed. So that's really good. I'm really pleased about that. So I am going to be wrapping things up now. So I will be doing my normal thing and just checking to make sure there isn't anything on the chat that I need to check out here. Sorry about the sound going. As I say, the other one that I have with the good battery, I forgot to charge it after my last live stream, so it's up in the house charging now. So I figured I could go up and grab it if I needed it, but given the fact that I'm about to finish up, I figured there's probably no need to worry about that. As usual, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. To anyone who's watching this on a replay, a big thank you to you for a big thank you to you for watching. So hello to you if you are watching this on the replay. This is the Ultrasonic cleaner behind me here, a big 30-litre one, and that's big enough to take a gigantic board like this. So that's where it's going to be going as soon as I finish the live stream. I'll put it in there and I'll switch it on. I won't do it during the live stream because it makes such a horrible noise. It really drives me batty and I have to leave. Yeah, thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for keeping the chat lively. It just seemed to be buzzing away like crazy today, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming back to my return live stream after my sort of being away. I'm hopefully back in the saddle now and will be live streaming and video production pretty much as normal. I've got a couple of review videos to do and stuff like that, so there's content coming out.
So thanks again. Hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, evening, whatever it happens to be in your part of the world, and I hope to see you at the next live stream. And don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it, like, just smash it, but only smash it once. If you do it twice, it switches back off again. And I hope to see you in the next one. So bye bye.